Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to see the results of a 6-month psychological project, a research project that took us all over the country. In my office today, I'm Jay Martin. We have 4 contestants in a recent beauty contest. Now, for reasons which will become very clear, we're going to use first names only. Would you please introduce yourselves?
Misty, Vicky,
Sonja,
Simone.
Misty, what do you do?
I'm a bank teller.
And Vicky?
Cosmetician.
Sonja?
hairdresser.
Window display.
Now, let me ask you this, Vicky. When you go to business, do you dress in a dress like that or a skirt and sweater? What do you usually wear?
I usually wear a white shirt, tie, sports jacket.
Are those your own eyelashes?
Nope.
And Sonja, is that your own hair?
No.
That's a very lovely dress, too, that you're wearing, Simone. Where did you buy it?
Oh, I made it myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason for using first names only for these very, very charming contestants is that right now, each one of them is breaking the law. The contest in which they were runners-up was a masquerade. Actually, in the vernacular, it's called a drag ball. You see, each of our contestants is a man. In just a moment, we'll be back to talk to them individually. Sonja, you were born a male. When did you first notice these female tendencies?
I was 13 years old.
Sonja, do you take female hormones?
Yes, I do.
And what have they done to you?
They have developed my body, and they also develop my bust and slow the growth of the hair in my body.
You said they've developed your bust. Do you wear a brassiere when you work?
No, when I work,
Well, do you ever wear a thin T-shirt?
I wear a shirt or a sweater.
When you wear a sweater, you say that your busts are developed. Is it?
They shows through.
Now, what about dates? You have dates with men. Do you ever have dates with men who don't know that you're a man?
Most of the times they don't.
And what do they do when they find out?
Well, they don't really care.
What about your plans for marriage?
Well, first of all, I intend to have my sex change.
How are you going to do that?
I'll take a trip and certain amount of money and surgery. You go through surgery.
It's very expensive, I understand.
Well, it's a couple of $1,000s.
What about your wardrobe? That must cost a lot of money.
My whole salary goes to my wardrobe.
Do you make any of your own clothes?
Sometimes.
Let's talk for just a moment about your sex life. Have you ever had a date with a girl?
No.
When you have a date with your boyfriends, what do? You go to movies?
We'll go out dancing. Here and there, you know, everywhere. Eating out, we eat out. Go to movies.
How many times must you go out with a boy before you let him kiss you?
Not much. That same night. You crazy?
It should be obvious to you that you don't lead a normal life in terms with which we're familiar. Would you say that you're a happy, fulfilled person?
Well, I'm very happy, but I'm not quite fulfilled until I get my sex change and become a complete woman. Then I'll be happy completely.
Simone, how old are you?
20.
When did you first discover that you were effeminate?
Well, I think we ought to clear up what's feminine and what's gay.
Well, what's the difference?
Well, a gay person is a boy that is attracted to another boy or a girl that's attracted to another girl. And feminine, anybody can be feminine. There's lots of married men that have feminine instincts. You know, they have a limp wrist or they walk a little more feminine than the other man.
Now, Simone, you openly admit that you're a homosexual. What do your parents think about this?
Well, I think my parents really don't know. You could say I live a double life, that on weekends I dress up like a girl, and then when I come home on Sunday afternoons or so, I look like a normal boy in the neighborhood. And I think as long as this happens, my parents don't suspect anything. So I have girls from work I go out with during the week, and the girls do call the house, so
Have you ever had sexual intercourse with a girl?
No. Girls don't attract me sexually. I like girls that are pretty and all. I like to be seen with pretty people. But sexually, girls just turn me off, I'd say.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have an older brother.
Does he know that you're homosexual?
No.
What do you think he'd do if he found out?
Probably kill me.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Well, then you're old enough to be drafted.
Yes.
Have you been drafted?
No.
What happened?
Oh, I guess I had a horrible experience when they called me down there. I just stood out from the rest of the people. Minus I didn't want to be drafted, so I just added a little more makeup to my face. And they spotted me. I stood out from the crowd.
Were you dressed as a girl?
No, but I had my hair up. It was combed differently than the rest of the boys. And I had a little makeup on my face. And the guards had caught me at the door, and they escorted me up personally to the main place where we had to be seated. From there on, I was just sent to different psychiatrists.
And what did the psychiatrists ask you?
Well, they asked me, am I happy the way I am? And they asked me, do my parents know? And do I want any help from them? And am I happy? And I answered all their questions.
Now, during the week, when you're at work, you say you do go out with girls. When do you go out with boys?
On the weekends, sometimes during the week, I'd take a day off in the evening, and I'd go to a gay bar in the city, and I'd meet people. Maybe I'd go home with a boy. Every time I go out to a bar, I don't intend to have sex or so.
Well, when you meet somebody at a gay bar, this would tell me that he was probably homosexual. Is that true or not?
Yeah, I only go to gay bars.
Well, do you ever go out with straight people?
I do, and we go to straight bars.
Do you take female hormones?
I've started on it.
And what has it done to you?
I put on weight.
How about your breasts?
Oh, they don't start forming for about 2 or 3 weeks, so I couldn't tell you.
When was the first time you went out with a boy?
Well, is this when I was dressed as a boy or as a girl?
Let's say you were dressed as a girl.
Well, it was at a drag ball 2 years ago when I first started going dressed as a girl. And this boy happened to thought I was quite attractive. And he came over to me and started talking and asking me all sorts of questions. And then he asked me to go out after the ball.
So what happened?
Well, we happened to go to a motel where I have dress that night for the ball. And we started to party.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we both got undressed, and he kissed me, I kissed him. We got in bed, pulled the sheets over us, and we started feeling each other.
What happened when he found out you had a...
Well, he knew this before, but he wasn't bothered. He was so hot, you know. And boys like to get the other people, especially pretty ones.
Well, how does he do it?
Well, either I'd go, beep, listen to that, or he'd, you know,
Where?
me, in my back, or my front,
Your front?
my
Simone, we've determined that you do, in effect, lead a double life. On the weekends, you dress as a woman. During the week, you hold down a full-time job. Are you happy?
Oh, yes, I am.
What would make you even more happy?
If I'd be able to have a change from man to woman.
What does that involve?
First of all, it involves a lot of money. Doctors charge a lot of money for this operation.
Where would you have the operation?
Well, in Casablanca. It starts for about $2,000 and up.
What is the actual surgical procedure?
Oh, it's not castration anymore like they used to do in the olden days, where they'd cut off a man's testicles or so. But nowadays they keep everything on you, except they just stick it inside. And this way it's a little better, and it's...
When you say a little better, what does it mean? Could
well,
you have normal sexual
you
relations?
can still have an excitement like you usually do. It might take a little longer, but you still have your excitement. When you're castrated, you have no excitement whatsoever.
Could you have normal sexual relations as a woman?
You could, but you couldn't give birth. That's the only difference.
Would you like to adopt a child?
I don't think I'd want to adopt a child. I think knowing they might be able to change my body, but not my mind. And I'd always have this little comeback in me, knowing that, gee, I was once a boy, and now I have a kid of my own. It wouldn't sound right to me, but I would like to get married.
Simone, you told us earlier that you make a lot of your own dresses. Do you wear anything tight and slinky?
I do at times.
What happens if you're wearing a very tight, slinky satin dress and you see somebody who appeals to you and your maleness becomes apparent?
I try to get rid of it before I put that slinky dress on.
How do you do that?
Oh, there's lots of ways of wearing a heavy-set girdle.
You wear a girdle?
Mm-hmm.
You're a rather tall girl, aren't you?
Yes.
How tall would you say you are?
6 feet.
Well, you're one of the taller drag queens around.
But I'm one of the more beautiful ones, too, darling.
Simone, do you know any other boys who dress up like girls who are taller than you are?
Oh, yes. I know one that used to be a truck driver. You ought to see her now. She's about 6'2" and a 48 bust.
Would you say that your business, your work, is the sort of work that attracts homosexuals?
Well, a lot of arty fields like dancing, singing, and display work, and different fields that are arty attract a lot of homosexuals to work there. And I happen to know my whole crew is gay.
How do you know that?
Well, we all talk about it, and we're so easy to spot anyhow.
Vicky, you say you're engaged. What does your fiancé do?
He's a photographer.
Is he homosexual or is he straight?
No, he's straight, masculine.
Let me ask you this question. If he's masculine, wouldn't it be more normal for him to go out with a girl?
True, but I'm the nearest thing to a girl, and I'm going for a change, and
When you say you're going for a change, you're going to have an operation.
yes.
Now, several of the other people we've interviewed are going to have the operation. Tell me something about it from your standpoint.
Well, it's a step away from loneliness and suicide, because most of the homosexuals and drag queens, they get to a certain age and they don't want to live no more. So I've just about hit that age.
Have you ever felt that you wanted to end your life?
Oh, many times. And I just think about changing to a woman, hoping that would be an escape.
When did you first feel that you were not part of the world around you?
Oh, 14, 15.
Had you been effeminate in school?
Yes, I was an outsider.
Were you the butt of jokes and barbs from the other children?
Yes.
What would they say?
There goes the fairy. There goes Little Miss Wonder.
And this upset you?
Yes.
Was there anybody in those early days that you could talk to and tell about how you felt?
No, not until just about a year ago. I met people like me. I thought I was the only one. And it's a little easier now.
How did you meet these other people who were like you?
At parties, at balls, drag balls, fairs.
In those early days, would you try to dress up as a woman?
Yes.
I'm talking about when you were 14 and 15.
Yes, I would put on my mother's clothes, run around the house on her heels.
Did she ever catch you?
No.
When was your first homosexual experience?
When I was 15.
And how did that happen?
In a movie, some fella kept on staring at me and staring at me. I seen the picture once, I seen it twice, and I just stood there most of the night, and he was still there, moving slowly but surely next to me. And then the knee started rubbing his knee. I said, "Ooh." And I just
Was he
stepped
young
in.
or old?
No, he was young.
And where did you go with him?
Well, actually, I got panicked, and he had told me to come into the men's room, and I told him, all right. And when he went into the men's room, I looked up at the clock, and I said, nah, I gotta get out of here. And I just left. I left him, so that ended that scene.
Well, what was the next time?
Near the rides where I was, they have an amusement park. Some fella, I could just feel the eyes piercing through me, and I turned around, and he told me if I like to go on some rides. I told him I don't mind. We went on a few rides, and then he told me if we'd like to go into the boardwalk. So I said to myself, well, I'm gonna see what happens. Being that I ran out last time out of the movies, I'm gonna see the next few steps, what happens with another man.
What did happen?
A few things that I guess a girl would do with a fella.
Did he kiss you?
Yes,
Did he touch you?
yes,
Did you touch him?
yes, not right away.
Did he ask you to do things which went against your principles and feelings?
Yes,
Did you do them?
no.
When did you finally go all out with a man?
About 2 weeks later,
Was it the same man?
yes, I met him he told me to meet him in New York.
Was he homosexual?
Yes,
Was he an overt homosexual, or was he married and with children?
well, he had a wife and a daughter, but he was separated from them.
Did you feel happy after having had an experience with him?
Not really, because I felt dirty. I felt like I was trapped in between something that I didn't know what to do about. Either go all the way and try to change. I felt different. I didn't like him after that. I despised him. As a matter of fact, I lived with him for about 9 months, and I despised him every day. But I just did it because I was getting deeper involved, and I just had nothing else to do, so I just let it go.
Did you feel that he was responsible in measure for your turning into a complete homosexual?
Well, yes, but he didn't like me to be very obvious.
Were you passive or active in the relationship?
Well, it was sort of a funny deal.
It was a mutual.
Yes.
And now, Vicky, would you tell us about a normal day in your life? A day during which you conform to society?
Actually, I'm living in two worlds, the female and the male world. As much as I favor the female world, because of a narrow-minded society, I have to conform to conventions. So on my working days, I get dressed as a man because that's what society likes to see. And I do need the money for my operation. So I play the part of a male. But believe me, I don't like it one bit, because I feel like an imposter. It's a good thing for me I live within walking distance from my job. So every morning when I walk to work, I stop and I see girls and I envy them, not because I like them physically, but I admire them for certain things that they're free to do what they like. Me, I have to hide, and I don't feel very right. It's not a normal thing to feel, but that's the way I am. I love to look at windows, especially lingerie windows. I love to see the pretty silks and satins, things I'll be wearing once I get my sex changed, and not just like the other girls. Beautiful and sexy, then I hope I'll get a chance in life to get the things I really want instead of hide from society in men's clothes. And just to see these things make me tingle, and I know it would make men tingle too, and to see them on me, and especially if I was a woman. Well, it's getting late. I better get to work and get this out of my head now. Oh, brother, I have a customer waiting for me. That's what I get for looking in the windows. Dreams, that's all they are. Who knows? Oh, well, maybe this job will help me get this money for this operation. Then I'll be sitting in a chair and someone will be waiting on me in my hair.
Thank you, Vicky. Ladies and gentlemen, during our 6-month research project, we interviewed literally thousands of homosexuals. We ran the gamut from those who betrayed not the slightest trace of effeminate qualities to those like Vicky, who, but for a quirk of fate, had been born a woman. We know that homosexuality is a psychological aberration to be treated by a competent psychiatrist. But what of those like Vicky, who don't want to be treated, who want to be women? Are we to judge?